video is intended to describe a light blade mainframe named Foundation that is designed to be a stationary travel-sized rendition of these various light tech derivative mainframes. Basically what that's supposed to actually mean in some kind of coherence is that this salt lamp is the primary function of this device to work as a purification emanation with the crystal apparatus terminated around it. And to join me in this dissertation shall be my trusty whimsical stick figure chakra map, to which I will utilize quite a bit for various illustrative guide for the entirety of the vast scope and scale of this rather ambitious, compact, dynamic, stationary light tech mainframe. So the aspect that's quite crucial, like I mentioned previously, is that this entire crystalline apparatus has been affixed to a small Himalayan salt lamp, seen right here, most importantly being powered by an incandescent bulb, the classic light bulb, to actually generate heat to purify and heat the salt to ensure the entire crystalline configuration is at peak efficiency, constant effect emanation. And the aspect that's quite crucial before I discuss any of the immersive, intensive crystalline compositions is the intended functionality. This right here is something called an alligator clip that clips right into the primary wire main vein of the construct seen right there, like so. But most importantly, it goes in through this very long cord into something called a banana plug down here, to illustrate this, that hooks into the house ground. So the aspect of this part of the outlet actually is the house ground, which makes quite the crucial aspect of this design's functionality, intention, purpose. So plug it back in, because the aspect of the ground of a house has this distinct feature that's being capitalized on. So in the aspects of modern electrical engineering, when it comes to a house ground for all outlets conjoined in an entire space, for example, is quite crucial, because if the building or event center, what have you, is indeed up to code, it must by law have this feature of conjoining all of the outlets for the entire space that would be the purpose of grounding a copper rod into the earth that's oftentimes 9 feet long to serve as an aspect to bypass the force of lightning or any other major electrical malfunctions that would cause a disruption, to have a safe ground arc. So why that's very relevant to discuss, I say it again for a quick little summarization of its critical importance, is that all outlets in a space are conjoined together. Somewhere on the premise there's a copper rod driven to the earth by law to work as a safe ground for the entirety of the closed loop circuit that we live in with electrical engineering. So the aspect that makes it triply crucial is that this entire apparatus of crystals seen right here, being constantly purified and charged at max capacity, is indeed grounding through all of these outlets for the whole space, thereby generating a containment field of energy, piling this energy through all of the outlets through an entire space to make basically a force field around a house. Or hence this is a travel size rendition, so many practitioners take these to event centers, plug them in the background, and then do the voodoo they do, and apparently it goes pretty well. Good vibrations in a space, good manifestations. It's basic quantum science. So the aspect of that crucial discussion is now out of the way. I will discuss the crystalline apparatus in great detail of all the individual organs that make up this crystalline entity that most importantly is being purified at full capacity, peak efficiency, and most triply importantly, actually grounded through the space into the copper earth rod to actually generate substantial vibrational compound interest through an entire space. So the aspect of foundation, of course, has the stones to back it, pun very much intended, which I'll discuss the blade band scaffolding seen auxiliary mounted laterally on the salt lamp itself before I discuss the intricacies of the heavy-duty foundational power pack seen right here. So the aspect that is quite crucial as a foundational setting is the transmutation ratio seen right here. The combination of both hematite and smoke quartz on both brass and silver play the crucial foundational scaffolding for this device. So the aspect of The hematite is a very fantastic rounder of all excess energy through the root chakra, into the earth stars, into the earth for reprocessing, and takes very effectively all other frequency radio energies and firmly grounds an anchor point to pilot energy into the ground of Mother Earth for reprocessing. In tandem with smoky quartz providing the same energetic stimuli to, just like the aspect of hematite, firmly compost all excess energy through the root chakra into the earth stars, into the earth for reprocessing. So the two together have been deemed the transmutation ratio due to the aspect of that much high yield grounding recirculation of energy, or etheric earth energy dialysis, is very discouraging for negative stagnant energies to stick to the field, which would be indicative of transmuting negativity into positivity with a high yield recirculation. So that plays quite the crucial role, of course, also to make the magic real, quite simply. Then affixed above that is something called the love-shine ratio, which is a trifecta of pink-gray crystals seen in this sequence. Starting off with clear quartz to work as an absolute neutral acceleration of this closed-loop sequence, going into rose quartz, a quintessential pink-gray high-heart divine love resonator, with clear quartz to ignite the sequence into kunzite. Kunzite is a very fantastic pink-gray crystal that is of high lithium concentration, which makes a very extremely soothing emotional divine love connection point. Then in tandem with clear quartz to accelerate the energy into morganite. Morganite actually is of the beryl family, which means it's emerald in aquamarine's pink-gray cousin with an 8.5 out of 10 hardness, which means its pink-gray structure has a very dense atomical rate, which means it has a very strong emanation of divine love high heart resonance. Hence the three together as a trifecta is what I consider the love-shine ratio of working as triangulation of a very heavy concentration of the pink-gray high heart divine love activation with triple compound interest. So that intensive immersive love sequence goes like so around the whole thing, just like the transmutation scaffolding. Then above that would be a love currency that's been augmented with a full spectrum. So the love currency seen right here is quite the good story that was commissioned into existence by the wonderful Wizard of Sedona, Mr. Stephen A. Ross, who I've enjoyed the privilege of working with him for years now, of prolific construction and distribution of this particular currency with the intention of making a very powerful morphic field sigil augmentation amplification in worldwide distribution at this point. And so the aspect that's relevant here too is that it says with love, in love, and through love to be quite simply the currency of love of how to conduct oneself for impeccability. On the other side, it says an open mind, a humble spirit, and a beautiful heart is the aspects of maintaining that action of with love, in love, and through love throughout creation, which is one of those absolute truths I consider a great honor to be working with. And the aspect of the love currency seen right here also has the full spectrum ratio seen like so, which basically is developed to be a full rainbow light generator, which would be very conducive and stimulating to the entirety of the chakra column from red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and so forth. Starting off with ruby, a quintessential root chakra stimulant of antiquity, great notoriety, and clear quartz to subcapacitate the energy to work as a natural amplification sequence going into carnelian, a very fantastic sacrum stimulant. Clear quartz into tiger's eye, a very fantastic solar plexus stimulant, as well as alignment of the lower three chakras. Clear quartz into peridot, a very fantastic third and fourth chakra stimulant of that of growth or abundance. Clear quartz into emerald, the quintessential heart chakra stimulant of great antiquity praise, of impeccable divine resonance with abundant spectrum of impeccable green ray nature, hence it's quite the famous stone. Clear quartz into blue lace agate, the quintessential stabilization of the fifth chakra. Clear quartz into lapis lazuli, a very fantastic, well-praised fifth and sixth chakra stimulant. Then going to clear quartz into amethyst, a quintessential violet ray crown chakra stimulant, as well as clear quartz and going back into hematite to work as a way to pilot the full spectrum energy, to have a strong grounding of that full spectrum, to of course encourage the rainbow spectrum to have a ground point to further tangibilize the radial frequency of good high vibrations, full spectrum vibrations I should say, with clear quartz as a subcapacitation to work to ignite the sequence until it goes back into the ruby and so forth for infinity and beyond, God willing. So those aspects would be the foundational blade band scaffolding, actually highly affixed to the salt lamp at this point. And now this section will be quite the very exotic, in-depth part of the dissertation for the primary power pack of the construct. And I must clear my throat to continue the rant. So the primary blade band seen right here is something of the foundational ratio. Quite simple, but quite effective for long-term stabilized effects. With clear quartz to work, just like I've mentioned thrice so far, as a neutral energy accelerant of the entire sequence, going into red jasper. Red jasper is a highly underrated red ray crystal in my opinion because it is the quintessential earth resonant frequency, absolute most stabilizing root chakra stimulant in the mineral kingdom, which is very conducive to the archetypal concept of foundation. So that aspect plays quite the crucial role to stabilize the root chakra impeccably, is to stabilize the entire faculties of the actual physical avatar through perfect etheric transference, stabilization, reprocessing, which is quite conducive to healing in great modalities. And of course, there'll be many different frequencies attached to this that will honor that full spectrum healing capacity. But most importantly, the primary governance of this frequency exotic range, before I mention all the individual high frequency crystals, is to have a very strong containment field of extreme tangibilization, stabilization for the magic to become real, enjoyable, and stabilized. Quite simply, I can't say that enough because it's of the prerogative of this construct. So anyhow, moving back on, so I will do so ascending upwards. Right here at the very bottom is a purple ray crystal named lepidolite, which is a very fantastic lithium potassium purple ray crystal of extreme soothing capacity, of a very, very soothing full light body, physical body, healing vibration of extreme serenity. So the aspect of the lithium makes for the most powerful emotional body healing soothing capacity to quite simply be energize Xanax vibration, to put it as a joke. But the aspect quite crucial here, of course, in this mainframe part right here is that each of these crystals I've mentioned thus far, as well as yet to mention this entire structure, have somehow, some way been terminated to the primary wire seen right here, which means that all of these individual crystals are part of a closed loop circuit sequence. So it's akin to, once again, organs of the entity of this crystal apparatus seen right here, all working together, promoting vibrational compound interest. So that extreme soothing capacity is very advantageous for a background of a home, quite evidently. And so this next section I'll be discussing will be actually a trilogy that work fantastic together that I consider quite integral for a restorative frequency output. So Tibetan black quartz seen down here at the very bottom of this core is a very fantastic full light body healer from Tibet that makes for a dramatic expansion of lower chakras, grounding into the earth, as well as the higher chakras of the stellar gateway, which makes for an impeccable dismantling of dis-ease found from top to bottom of the entire chakra column. And in tandem with seraphinite, which provides the same full unanimous healing vibrational overlap of master healing capacity, seraphinite, this green ray crystal named after the seraphim archangels, just like Tibetan black quartz, is a fantastic full light body healer from top to bottom that once again works very diligently, very effectively, and in a very soothing manner to dismantle patterns of dis-ease found stored in the chakra column from top to bottom. Then in tandem with the third member of the trinity would be star argonite, which is a calcium-based full light body healer as well, just like the two mentioned in the trilogy, is the aspect of full light body healing capacity from top to bottom, once again the entire chakra column, meridian, nerve ganglia, to mitigate the stored patterns that would be considered dis-ease, etherically manifesting as a physical ailment. So the three together have been deemed the restoration ratio that has enjoyed wide distribution and great success at this time, and I wager continue to get even more successful. So that's why I mentioned these three as a perfect whole master healing dynamic utilitarian trinity of healing, and everything else after that basically is just very supportive of those three on the blade face, to be quite frank. Speaking of that, would be black tourmaline seen right here. Black tourmaline is another black-gray crystal of transmutation, quite in vogue for very famous mitigation of negativity into positivity by, once again, just like the transmutation ratio, being very effective for grounding negativity in the earth for reprocessing. And then above that would be shungite right here, which is another black-gray crystal quite in vogue in this timeline. Even a small dose goes a very long way on a constant effect amplified emanation grounded into a space. The great acclaim to fame, or acclaim it receives these days, is famously mitigating the harmful wavelengths of 5G or other unnatural wavelengths we contend with as a modern species that could be compromising our subtle DNA. So the aspect of shungite being a black-gray carbon-based crystal as quintessential charcoal filter also has a very distinct carbon-based compatibility, deep transmutation of the carbon-based physical avatar of our human avatars for now. So its deep transmutation sequence is very purifying on an atomical level for the carbon structure of our entire physical avatars, which is very advantageous for many purposes, as well as a little bit of Wi-Fi 5G mitigation effect grounded through space. Goes a long way. Or so I read. So anyway, then going back to these two gold ray crystals right here, this would be Himalayan golden azeztulite seen right there, which is a gold ray crystal, comes from the Himalayas, that has a very profound high heart direct gold white light source attunement frequency, which as a joke I say that puts the source in sorcery, is direct attunement to the direct source emanation frequency alignment. Or also can be considered quite the contingent crucial element to produce what can be considered a holy grail generator with direct alignment with divinity, goes a very long way and can be considered a holy grail. By concept, to bring a legendary reference into the equation, then next to that would be golden healer quartz, just like golden azeztulite makes for a very fantastic high heart gold white light source attunement. Hence, many components in these structures have similar vibrations to expand upon a particular ratio to intensify the alignment, such as the golden healer quartz and the golden azeztulite to be two independent, working together, direct gold white light source attunement frequencies, which goes a very long way. Then right there would be turquoise, a very classic fifth chakra crystal of antiquity and well praised and deified over millennia. So turquoise is a very fantastic combination of earth, fire, water, and air, the four terrestrial elements, through a fifth chakra focus, which provides full pranic healing, stimulation, and oxygenation, pardon my stutter, oxygenation of the entire bloodstream as well, to a very high pranic configuration of healing good vibrations, to put it pragmatically. So it, of course, is quite the powerful stone of truth. Then right here is another very powerful promoter of earth frequency alignment called petrified wood. So petrified wood's story is that it is a primordial ancient tree from millions of years ago that got petrified through mineral saturation. So this is ancient wood from old times that indeed is a stone at this point, which of course is a very powerful homage to the earth realm of the sacred one-leggeds of trees, who are impeccable, stationary, amazing guys that are just always grounded into the earth impeccably, but in a petrified format. And so that's exactly why this entire apparatus has been affixed to an oak core that I sanded myself from here in Sedona, that is now invisible based on the aspect of it being buried by many crystalline component allies. So the aspect of the oak wooden core plays quite the crucial role, seen, actually not even seen anymore, but right in here in the middle. It is actually quite crucial for the aspect of being a carbon-based transference for all the silica radius or crystal energy built around it to further bring compatibility of the etheric radial crystal energy into the tangible range with the physical human avatar to quite simply make the resonance of the output make the magic real. Once again, which is always a prerogative. And so that's why that's there. Then over here, on the back side, between the love currency and the main power pack, is quite the integral crystal of smoky celestial quartz. So smoky quartz, like mentioned in the transmutation ratio, seen in bead format is quite essential for purifying negativity by grounding to the earth and absorbing negativity and transmuting it through reprocessing. So the aspect that makes this quite integral is quite exotic and rather challenging to discuss in a relatively coherent, linear fashion, but I always do my best. The structure of the celestial has a very fascinating effect on the auric field of being a perfect auto-regulation frequency pitch, kind of like a dimmer switch or an auto-adaptogen adjuster, which basically what I'm trying to say there, to make it comprehensible, is that this particular frequency has a way to purify and, most importantly, take the entire frequency pitch of this entire apparatus and bring it an ideal emanation configuration for the auric field's ideal ingestion ratio. It's quite difficult to explain, but basically it works to auto-calibrate the frequency pitch to, of course, whoever's in the space to have the maximum resonance, adaptability, transference for impeccable divine alignment, balance at all times. It also works like a surge protector to ensure the frequency pitch is at an optimum that's always in perfect resonant balance with the entire auric field from top to bottom. It's quite challenging to discuss in a very coherent, rational manner because it does get far out very quickly, but as always, these are quite integral in many constructs that pass my hands in distribution. And to round this whole construct out would be discussing the white selenites affixed to the oak core right here, as well as the 4 spectrums of kyanite affixed to the selenites. So the aspect of white selenite plays quite the integral role as well. So white selenite is a very fantastic, by itself, fantastic 6, 7, 8 non-physical chakra stimulant back to one's Godhead, God source connection, which effectively works as a clearing of debris between higher guidance and one's conscious self for the spiritual adept that's already outrageously advantageous. So the aspect with that high frequency induction alignment also works to purify stagnant energy through the entire auric field by itself, making it a true crystalline master healer. But the aspect that's quite crucial here that I always save for last intentionally is that of all these crystals I mentioned thus far in about 22 and a half minutes, all running together in a closed loop sequence, it can take the entire crystalline collective. It can work to purify all of these crystals. It can work to amplify or intensify all these crystals, but always most importantly, it works to bring harmonization and equilibrium to the entire crystalline group mentioned thus far, which is always quite integral for an effective spirit tool as far as I'm concerned. Then next to them would be the 4 spectrums of kyanite, which I will employ whimsically fast penmanship to do my best to illustrate their transfer capacity that quite literally the speed of quantum light. So with black kyanite is the most rapid grounder of energy. Got so fast that I lost my whimsical map. The black kyanite grounds so quickly through the root chakra, the earth stars, at the speed of quantum light that it always works as a safety contingency bypass of energy to ensure the frequency is always being transmitted into the earth for reprocessing at a very fast ratio. In tandem with orange kyanite, which is a very fantastic sacrum stimulant of creativity, of any kind of false self-imprintation, preventing one being in their power, it works very quickly to bypass and bridge those points, as well as being quite the powerful manifestation agent accelerant to transmit good vibrations. Then green kyanite is a very fantastic green ray high heart chakra stimulant that works to bridge past blockage patterns as well. In tandem with blue kyanite, which is a very fantastic third eye stimulant that works very diligently to mitigate cross interference between the left and right hemispheres. So with the aspect of mitigation of cross interference is a whole brain thinking disposition, as well as aka awakened third eye, which is very, very encouraging. And the aspect that makes it quite relevant to discuss here too is with the 4 spectrums of kyanite seen right here. With that much consistent rerouting, rebuffering, it's quite challenging for negative energy or bombardments of negativity incoming on the auric field to maintain with that much rerouting, rebuffering from so many different angles at the speed of quantum light that it's quite simply a very powerful layer of etheric Teflon once again to constantly reroute and rebuffer and not let the stagnant energy stick to the field. by design. So that's quite the integral aspect. And by golly, that would be the entire crystalline catalog completed. So in this now 25 minutes of consistent ranting, it's quite obvious that this is a very dynamic, small, compact, high-yield unit that's very, very versatile in its range, with a very heavy, strong, in-the-body experience grounding capacity stabilization, which of course is very conducive for all the other high-frequency purifying grounding emanations to encourage a very good vibration. The space is to encourage very good vibrations manifesting. That's just science. And with many different master healing components and dynamic range, and that would be the concept of foundation, the stationary travel size mainframe. Well, 1,000 blessings, and may the force be with us all.